Madhouse Podcasting Network.
Out there
Let's do
for
the
the
quick
world.
introductions, Dunctions.
The dunctions. So we're gonna do the
Jeremy.
introductions.
Yeah.
Go for it, dude.
Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for tuning in to
Show a
another
little
episode
enthusiasm.
of First. Oh, dude, I just want to punch you through the screen right now because before you're like, don't do so much, and now you're telling me to do stuff. Okay, so basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut all of this bullshit and not put it on the final cut.
So you think?
Yeah. So let's try this again. How's it going, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Mask. I'm Scott and my buddy Jeremy, and today's guest is Paul Martinez, aka Vertigo / Mooch.
Yeah.
So, pretty damn names, dude.
Just shorten it to MVP. It stands for Mooch Vertigo Paul.
MVP. I like
This
that.
fucking guy. That's a good one. So thanks for joining us today, Paul. I know we've talked about it on and off for a little bit, but now we finally got you going. So now we're gonna tell what you say is a short story, but I know there's stories out there, and you know there's a story that I'm gonna bring up because it's funnier than hell. So, but
Is it like the common story about me?
yes. Well, there's a couple of common stories about you, so
Well, I can't wait to hear them.
yeah. So okay. I mean, I know that your haunt history is really short, but let's go back even before that. You know, like, I mean, I know you've been into Halloween for some time now.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that when you were young first, and then we'll kind of move into your actual, your monster journey and whatnot.
So the earliest I could remember being around scaring stuff like that, when my older brother was still living with us, there was one Halloween where he was just literally sitting outside, like in some like raggedy clothes, and I think he had like a blanket over him or something, and people were just coming up to the door, and then he would like just sort of like jump a little bit, and that would get him, and I would see that, like I was always like laughing in the corner. Besides that, I did go to the Queen Mary one time back in like 06. I was like really, really young at that time.
Really?
Yeah. And we were on a tour and we were going through the pool room actually.
Okay, so was this during Dark Harbor or just Queen Mary days?
I don't know. I have the tickets and I think they say for the tour. I don't think they say shipwreck on them or anything or like that.
So it's probably for not during haunt season.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But I just remember being like so uneasy and so scared in that pool room. Like my dad had to like walk me out, That's from there.
Well, that there's a lot of activity in that room,
Yeah.
which is now closed.
Yeah.
I think the whole thing's closed, right?
Well, yeah.
Right now it is, yeah.
Yeah.
After that, nothing really too much. I just remember dressing up every year for Halloween, some new character or whatnot, like some popular character all throughout middle school and high school. Never really did anything, didn't go any like Halloween parties or anything like that. So just
Really?
very, very simple life, just simple, like Halloween's another year,
Yeah.
It's just going by. It's just another month, and then 2017, me and Omar start hanging out a lot, and he was like, hey, like, do you want to get into this thing called sliding? And I was like, I don't know what it is, so probably not this year. And then no, that was 2016.
Okay.
I was like, probably not this year because I don't know too much about it. And he was like, all right. And then sure enough, the following year he asked me the same question, and I was like, wait, you asked me that already? He was like, yeah. And then I was like, well, I have no idea what this is all about. So is there anything we can do? And he was like, we'll set up a maze this Halloween, but first we need to go to Scare LA. I go to Scare LA. I see Decayed Brigade throwing on their show. And that was my first like experience sort of with
Like, what the fuck is that? Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I was like, I want to do that. And sure enough, that Halloween was my first time sliding on $5 Husky pads that were about yay thin, you know.
Damn.
Home Depot
Complete,
specials?
yeah, completely destroyed my knees and everything that year, or that day, sorry. And ever since then, that's when it kind of really took off.
See, this is weird. Like, you're totally opposite of most people that, you know, are characters now.
Yeah.
In the industry. Like, they always had something growing up that they were, you know, that made them so passionate about Halloween.
Yeah, yeah.
So you kind of got.
I had nothing of that.
Yeah. No idea. And it's kind of like, okay, oh, you and Omar started hanging out, and he kind of threw you into it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so 2017, you were what, 17 years old then?
I was 18 at that time. Yeah.
Okay, so you're 18 at that time, and was it only one night?
Yeah, it was just Halloween.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that was your first go at sliding, and what did you do? You said Omar just goes, go slide?
Yeah, like we went to the rink like once, and then because my knees were like shot by that time already with using those knee pads at the rink, we just decided not to do anything for 2 weeks, and then until Halloween day, and then I remember very vividly like my first scare, like a group of like maybe like 6 or 7 kids were walking up the driveway, slid out, they all booked it left and right of the street, you know, just completely gone, you know, never to be seen again.
So were you like, did I just do that?
Yeah. As soon as that happened, I was like, that's it. I want to go into more of it. And
So that was your hook.
yeah,
It's always
That
that
was your
first
hook.
scare.
yeah,
When you see someone book it, that's what gets you, man.
yeah.
It's the adrenaline.
But it was so funny because it was like a huge group of kids, you know, it wasn't just one
Yeah.
or two, it was like 7.
So it was almost a yard sale where everybody's going everywhere, falling over each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, I wish I could say my first scare is what got me. It didn't, because like, I mean, I had some really good first scares before I started working, you know, big haunted events. But
Yeah.
once I started working, you know, at Knott's, it wasn't my first scare that got me, because I mean, I was stuck in a 3x3 box the whole fucking run,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, but it was the vibe of being in that environment.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so you do your one night, and your knees are totally shot.
A long break was needed right after.
So, okay, end of 2017 comes around, and we're moving into 2018 now. So when did you actually start going to the rink and start realizing, okay, I want to be a part of? I know we're moving ahead, but
No,
yeah. Tell me the story on like when you wanted to be a part of it, and then what made you go, hey, I want to work it, you know?
So, early 2018, like January 5th or something like that, some weird number right off the bat. Me and Omar, we had just gotten our 187s. We were making gear and all that, and getting comfortable, like using our new pads and stuff. And we just started watching like a lot of YouTube videos of some pretty popular sliding YouTubers and whatnot. Skidda, Art Dracula, you know. From then we just kind of like wanted to keep going, and then we were like, oh, what about Halloween this year? Like, what are we doing this year? And I was like, maybe Knott's, you know, like who knows? And then we're at the rink one day, and Hunter shows up. She's like, hey, you guys look pretty new. And she was like, well, you guys scare anywhere? And we're like, oh no, that was like, we just want this to be like our first year. And she was like, well, we have a boot camp coming up this year for the Queen Mary sliders. And I was like, oh, that sounds really interesting, actually. Like Long Beach, I remember going to the Queen Mary as a kid and just being like so rattled, you know? So just that eeriness like kind of pulled me towards it. And then yeah, she was like, we have a boot camp coming up, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're always looking for new members to be on the team. And so me and Omar were like, let's just do it, you know, like what do we have to lose? Like it's just all fun and games at this point for us.
Right.
And so we That's when you and I first like met. Like
Yeah.
I didn't really like know of you or anything, and then Omar walks up to me. He's like, "Do you know who that is? Do you know who that is?" I'm like, "No." Like, should I know? And then
I don't even know how Omar knew me, but okay.
yeah, well, Omar had been going to haunts already, like as a kid. Like how you were saying, like everybody has, like they've been going to haunts for years and years and years, and then finally they're old enough, you know. So he had gone through that. So he was like, "How do you not know who that is?" And I was like, "Dude, like this is my first year for everything, you know." Like, and so we went through kind of your boot camp. I mean, you were just there, sort of. It was mostly like Squeaks and Evil.
Yeah, I hadn't totally taken over yet.
And then went through the boot camp. We found out you were overseeing us.
Overseeing.
And sure enough,
bro,
at some,
you've been drinking beer or what?
Me?
Yeah. And
sorry, smooth brain moment.
Yeah, smooth brain.
Yeah, we just got right into season and show team first year, and
yeah. So
sorry, I'm like
yeah, he's totally smooth braining on right now because what he was leading up to is correct. So I wanted him to tell a story, but I got to kind of plug his brain a little bit so he gets some ripples back.
Yeah.
He started coming to boot camp with Omar, and that's when I first met him.
Right.
You know, and at the time, I think that was probably 2 weeks in when I first saw you and Omar.
Yeah.
And this is the initial vibe I got from Paul. New guy, huge ego.
Right off the bat.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah. I was one of those guys.
Oh my goodness. I'm sure you got a quick reality check though, huh?
Absolutely. Oh my, that was so like, as soon as he showed up, that's when like Hunter and Squeaks really started like digging into my head saying like, get out, you know, leave the ego behind. You are just another one of us at this point. There's no room for this ego at all.
Yeah.
And it was almost like every single practice I was at, they had to like yell at me, you know, saying, get out of your head, you know?
It did take a little bit.
It's really
take a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really funny that anybody would have any egos in this industry alone, because it's very far few in between that you would even be at a huge caliber in this industry.
Yeah.
You know, especially doing sliding. Like sliding is a haunt industry specific thing, and it's, you know, there's no room to have egos. It doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and I definitely figured that out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, later on in the practices, when they were still like telling me to tone down the ego and all that, like at that point I didn't think that I had one.
Oh.
So I just kind of like let it roll over me, you know?
So it was kind of a subconscious thing at the time.
Yeah.
So so let me ask you, Paul, like what was it that made them think you had an ego, or that made them realize you had an ego? Like,
I honestly couldn't tell you, but I was following every single order that I could. You know, everything that they told me to do, I was doing, and I was trying my hardest, you know, because I really wanted to be on show team, and I wanted to be a part of the sliders at Queen Mary, you know.
I guess that would be a question for Scott then.
Well, to be clear, there is not even a hint of that anymore.
Right. No, of course,
Yeah.
that's the reason why we're talking about it, because, you know, and I'm curious, like, because I obviously didn't get to meet you back then. So I know you.
That was how long ago now? 2018, 4 years ago?
Yeah. So
wow.
So I mean, Scott, what was it? And the reason here, another reason why I'm asking is for people that are watching this, that are going to be new, or that want to move into it or whatever, can realize, oh, I do that, so maybe I should check that. You know,
for
to
me,
the door.
when especially with new people, when I evaluate them, it's one big thing is on how they engage with the group around them, and how they portray themselves in sense like, the way, and all three of us here have seen it. When people walk into an environment like that, and they put off the vibe like I'm king shit type of thing.
Yeah.
It was that. It wasn't so much words. It was how you engaged, because at that time, and this I vividly remember that with a lot of the group like that were there, the other sliders, you were very short with them, like not very talkative. You like engage for a second and walk away. It's like, oh, I don't need to talk to them type of thing.
Yeah.
So, and that's where it came full circle for me. It's like, oh, we got to fix that.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
You know, so I mean, everybody's different, but those are like signs. And then there's signs of people like that are in this industry that have none of that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like even like for like first impressions, you know, like you definitely want to come off as like a really like approachable person.
yeah.
And you know, just right off the bat when I showed up, I wasn't one of those people. It's like I would talk to you for 30 seconds and then dip.
Maybe.
Maybe 30 seconds, you know.
But why would you dip?
I mean, I would go like engage in a different conversation at that point. I had like other friends that I was just starting to talk to, or I would just want to go back out onto the rinks and stuff and just keep sliding or something like that.
Gotcha.
Do his thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get through boot camp now, and we go through all that stuff, and then we go through the process of auditioning. Tell us, I mean, that's obviously your step. I know I'm kind of foreshadowing it, but tell us a little bit about like how you felt about that, and you know, just getting your feet wet with, you know, auditioning for your first haunt, not even just as a slider, but in general.
Yeah. So it was a little different how it is now for Queen Mary and their auditioning process. I was a part of the final group that did slider testing as an audition. It was about an hour long, I think, and at some point I got really, really nervous, like halfway through, and I remember I got paired with somebody that didn't go to boot camp, so they already had like an eye on that person for having also an ego, funny enough. And I just remember we were doing like we call it slalom, and it's basically when you're just doing that as a drill. And he was going the same exact way that I was, so it just wasn't working out. And then at some point he hit me, so right off the bat I was like, oh no, I messed up my audition. This is it. I'm not getting on for sure. And then I go back to the top of the hill. Squeaks walks over to me, I think it was Squeaks, and he was like, don't worry, it wasn't you, you're okay. And I was like, okay, I feel a lot better. And felt way more at ease right after that. And come to find out that they didn't hire that guy on because he didn't go to the boot camp, and just him and his buddies turned out to have a huge ego. And let's see, here we go again.
Smooth brain. Yeah.
It was smooth brain.
Okay, so you get through the audition process. After that, like, how'd you feel when they're like, okay, we're gonna bring you in, whatever? Because obviously you got the part.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, were you like, what the fuck type of thing, or like, you know, I want people to understand what you felt like because it was your first time.
Yeah.
'Cause I know there's people are gonna be out here watching. It's gonna be like, oh, you know, this is something that,
Yeah.
you know, I can.
So they told us that me and a few others had made it on the show team, and they were like, they looked at specifically at me and they were like, if you have an ego, throw it away because we know you just got on, you know, like we know it might come back. So they were like, just throw it away. Don't even bring it up, you know, like don't bring it here, anywhere. And so they just right off, sorry, it was very welcoming. I will tell you that. Very welcoming, very family oriented, you know, and Wow, I'm having a really tough day.
He is. He's smooth brain big time. So I'm gonna keep poking to get you to remember shit.
Yeah.
You're lucky. I'm part of this history.
Yeah.
I remember stuff. Freaking Jeremy, this guy, dude.
Sorry, this is not my day.
You know what? You did great when you did your podcast with Anthony.
Tony. Yeah.
So
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think
now you're on the
Anthony
team.
told him not to do a good podcast with us. Yeah, I know your tricks.
Anthony doesn't even
No.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm totally
Yeah.
kidding.
Okay, so you get through the process, and now you're on the show team. What did you think was going to happen after you got in the show team? Like, what did you think the next part of the process was?
So since I hadn't been to Dark Harbor before, I just thought I was just going to be doing street sliding, and whatever show was, I would just kind of just go like freestyle the whole thing. But apparently we had to put an entire show together. So all the practices Monday through Friday, or sorry, not Monday through Friday, but whenever we practice. So Thursday, and
2 or 3 times a week,
Saturday or something like that.
Yeah.
Just showing up and having the most commitment and wanting to be there every single moment with these guys was just so different for me.
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't used to it. And at the time, not having your specific boot camp, learning about diets and working out correctly, certain muscle groups and all that, like I was really feeling it. Just
really feeling it.
Yeah. I definitely noticed just from practicing these shows that I needed to like somehow get in shape and really work on a diet, because this is really vigorous work. It looks like so much fun and it looks really easy, but trust me, this, like, the first time you slide, like, you're gonna be in bed for like 2 days or something, like if you don't work out as it is.
Right.
It's just
it's a good thing you realized that during practice.
Yeah, not during
imagine
season.
doing it your first weekend and realizing that. It's like,
well,
holy shit.
even then on my first weekend, like I totally like blew myself out. Like I was having so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But
What did I tell all you guys opening night before you went out?
pace yourself.
Exactly. What does he do? He goes
I go
ape shit.
berserk
But
that whole night.
it is a typical newbie thing. I did it my first time. I did it my first weekend as a non-slider, and then as a slider, it just was worse because it's such a different tactic. So I get it.
It works different muscles that you didn't know you had.
Yeah.
It's super funny because I did it this year too, with knowing everything already.
Well, of course, you're at Knott's. It's a different venue. You're like, holy shit, I'm at Knott's now. I have to like keep up
You just
with all
jumped
these guys.
way ahead, Jeremy.
I know.
Yeah, we'll get to that
Exactly.
in a little bit.
Backtrack. Okay, so
sorry.
no, it's okay. Well, just so you guys know out there too, I mean, putting together a slider show at some venues, the characters that come in, they do get paid for that time. But during this actual time frame, this was 100% commitment from the people that were there, because there was no pay involved. So we were going in there and doing it because we wanted to put a good product together. So outside of sliding though, I mean, okay, you got the show done. That was a good thing. You got to, what's funny is you coming in the first year and getting on the show team, that really threw you into sliding full bore your first season, and that doesn't happen often.
Yeah.
A lot of people they get a chance to work into it.
Yeah.
So tell us what it was like for you to actually be working a major event for your first time, like not even just sliding, but going out there working streets and doing your thing.
It was a little overwhelming at some point, especially my first weekend. Long Beach just tends to be a little touchy-feely. I was not ready for that whole just type of environment, like knowing that certain things happen. Like, I wasn't ready for that because all the guests saw was just some kind of clown, you know? And they were like, oh, we can just do whatever we want to him, you know? But it's like, no, I'm still a human. I have feelings and all that. And I was just 19, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
fresh out the bag, bro.
yeah. And not having been around haunts for a long while, that would have benefited me on knowing what was to come. But going right into it, I had no idea how guests were going to treat me and all that. And so it was not a rough season, but it was a good season.
Right.
I just wasn't used to that kind of stuff. I had the most fun in my life ever my first year.
Okay.
And I will always cherish every single moment I've had with all of my other sliders and other monsters that were there. But I will always remember the negative stuff that happened.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because that stuff is the nature of the beast in our industry.
And yeah.
You know? So was there any a point in time you said that you weren't ready for that? Was there any a point in time where you're like, dude, I can't hang with this. I'm done.
No. I never told myself that I wanted to quit. Okay. That was one thing for sure. I had loved this job so much right off the bat, and I didn't want to let it go. So from that first year, I grew like the thickest skin I would ever imagine on myself, you know?
Yeah.
And because of that, having a thick skin is super beneficial in this job, and you don't want to break ever. Right. Because then other monsters will see that you broke. I just didn't want to feel, you know, put down or anything like that either.
Right.
Even though I would have probably had full support from all the teammates and stuff like that, but there was no way I was going to make myself break over this. And I definitely wanted to persist through.
Right. So what did you do to help you mentally switch, like flip that switch to where like, no, you know, this is what I want to do, obviously, but was there something that you did physically or mentally that made you switch the other side? It's like, no, I got this. You know, this stuff isn't going to bother me. I'm going to push all the way through it.
All I literally did was just ignore it as best as I could. If it was like really bad, like a really bad situation, then I had talked to like either security or I don't even think I talked to you at that point. But yeah, like if it was a really bad situation, that was the only time I would talk to security. But most of the time I would just kind of let it fly by, you know. I would just be like, hey, you know, don't touch me, and then I walked away or whatever. Like I would make sure like I kind of broke character so they took me seriously. But other than that, just I kind of let all that stuff happen, and just thicker skin is just every time it happened, it was a new layer, you know?
Yeah.
And
well, see, that's a big reason why I wanted to bring that up, is because there's going to be people that are thinking about working an event.
Yeah.
You know? So for them to hear, you know, the process that you went through and how you felt in the beginning, where you're like, oh shit, I wasn't ready for it, to a place where you're like, I'm good to go. All this is going to run off my back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So for those of you that are watching that are thinking about it, it's very important. It doesn't matter where you work a street position, maze talent, ride, whatever. You got to work on having a thicker skin and tolerance for, I say, stupidity.
Yeah.
Stupidity is a big thing.
Stupidity and ignorance.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah. It's just the nature of the industry. I thought it was just a Knott's thing. And when I worked Chamber of Chills, after I retired at Haunt, it was the same there. You know, so it's just something that wearing a costume, people just think they can fuck with you, and it's not just
it makes no sense.
It's not just being dicks. It's, you know, like just being grabbed, being everything, like
just the thought that we've been groped is like insane, you know, by regular people.
Yeah.
Like
I remember my first time getting groped. I was like, oh, this
You
is
liked
new.
it.
This is new. I rolled with it. A lot of times the ones that grope you are the ones you can get numbers from, so just keep that in mind.
He's saying that because he used to do that all the time.
Oh, okay.
You can spot them. You can spot them. My biggest pickup line was when I would see when I see a group of girls walking with the light up horns.
Yeah.
And I would go, oh look, a group of horny women or a group of whatever, horny whatever. If whoever turns around is the one you can go flirt with. When it turns around and says something, you go, that's right. I always, there's tactics for picking.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
I'm married now. I can't talk like that anymore. And it's 2021, so people get really sensitive.
Here's a kicker too, Paul. His wife is ex-haunt also.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Ex-monster.
That's cool.
Ex-monster. So I had to think of new pickup lines.
Okay, so you get to the end of 2018. What was your feeling like? Oh, dude, when do I get to do this again, or what?
Yes, right away. I was like, what's next? Like, what could I possibly do now throughout the entire year, not having haunt until we start boot camp up again, and then until we start practicing. So there were these little photo meets that were hosted in LA, and me and Omar and a few other buddies would go.
That was the TFTI, right?
Yeah, at the time it was TFTI, yeah. And then at some point that got shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's where I met a lot of my Knott's friends at just super great people, and also very welcoming. And
now he's jumping the gun.
wait, who, me?
Yeah. We're missing a whole year there, young man.
Well, that was most of the year.
Oh,
it was just going to those. We would go to those maybe twice a month, every other or every month. It was so frequent. But besides that, off season, I was trying to hit the rink as much as I could. Me and Omar, we would just go so often, and we would obviously meet more people there, and we were just focusing on how we could better ourselves for the following season. So from the previous season, I was like, I got to work on diet. I got to definitely try and stay in shape as much as I could, and just do whatever I could to be ready for the following
So I don't know if you can
season.
pinpoint it because it was a few years ago, but what did you do that was different from 2018 to get prepared for 2019? What did you do in between there, between 2018 and 2019 season? What did you do in that time to make you better prepared physically?
No soda. That was the biggest thing. Just I would literally drink 3/4 of a gallon of water a day. I had a gallon on me everywhere I went, to the supermarket or just on a walk. I had a gallon of water.
You had your bottle. That's good.
That was it.
Yeah, and so that was your key point. No soda.
Yes, that was the biggest thing for me, because I was just soda every for 3 meals. It was a can of soda. That was the common thing for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That made a big difference for you, right?
Huge difference. I dropped so much weight just from drinking water. It was insane.
Yeah.
And then
What the hell?
and just trying to start walking everywhere, just going for a walk every single day in the morning, for a couple miles or at least for an hour,
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. I still walk an hour every morning,
You do. That's rad, dude.
Still do. Yeah. Since 2018.
So
the
you've
very end
been
of it.
walking every day in the morning since 2018?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
Ever since then, because I knew it wasn't just beneficial for sliding, but beneficial for me.
Yeah.
Like this was a me thing at this point, and I just knew like I have to like maintain my body now, since I'm getting older and older now. I have to.
Now you're still a young buck.
Yeah. But when I start noticing that I'm getting a little heavier, you know, that's when I like I'm a little self-conscious, a little bit, and so I'm like, hey, like I'm a little chunkier now. Like I should start working on that and just bring it down a little bit.
I'm a little chunkier now.
Yeah.
So it didn't help when I used to bust your chops all the time, huh?
Yeah. but when you did that, you pushed me through, you know? Like you reminded me to keep doing the normal stuff, like to help me maintain and all that.
Consistency
Yes.
You know,
100%.
So, yeah. So 2019 rolls around, you know, you do the same thing, and this is where the stories come into play.
Yeah.
I'll just tell one story because it's funny, even though I wasn't there after finding out about it. It was hilarious. 2019 comes around. What were you expecting? Anything new, different? What?
I definitely wanted to switch up the costume. Wasn't expecting a lot of things to happen. Like I thought it was just going to be the same team, you know, and the normal stuff that we usually do, but some things fell apart, like leadership wise, and just kind of benefited all of us, including me. I felt a little more at ease with how everything was going, and it's just besides that, coming up with a costume, I made everything a little darker, sort of.
Yeah.
And that brought like a new aspect to like it was the same character, but it was just slightly different in a certain way. And I felt scarier.
Okay.
In that sense. And
so okay, like since you touched on your character, let's talk about what it's based on and where you derived that inspiration from.
Okay, so growing up until 2018, I was really afraid of like thunderstorms and just lightning itself, you know, that I couldn't do it. Like I was in my room, the blinds were closed, headphones in full blast, and that's how I went to sleep, you know, like I just couldn't do it. So with that in mind, I was like, I need to come up with some sort of clown. And I was thinking something like a toxic clown, sort of like toxic waste and whatnot. I was thinking of toxic because at the time I had just gotten out of a toxic relationship with an ex-girlfriend, and I was like, it's cool, but I don't think it would fit somehow with the ship, you know. And then Hunter, she had brought up that I should be like some sort of like electrician, and from there I brought in the lightning backstory from that, and just kind of used that to my benefit. And ever since then, like I got over my fear with the whole lightning storm thing. And
wow, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And that's something I didn't know.
I'm gonna backtrack a little bit to 2018 season.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
My first year I show up, I'm the lightning clown, and we get shut down on the 13th for having a bad weather day.
That's right. The rainstorm.
Yeah.
The rainstorm, like it was like, lightning, dude.
Lightning hit the dome. It hit the top of the ship at some point, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like super interesting, but everybody kind of blamed that one on me because it was my first year.
Yeah, that's funny. Because that hadn't happened before.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you say that, because basically you took something that you had a fear of, and use it to your advantage. And it's funny too, because when you think about it, it's like Batman.
Yeah.
Bats because he was terrified of bats.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I never thought about it like that, actually. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I just thought about that. You're like, oh, I was afraid of that. And then you started using that. Now it makes sense why you chose lightning. I was always wondering, because you and I have never spoken about that.
Yeah.
I was always wondering why lightning.
Yeah.
You know.
So yeah, it was a fear at some point.
Okay, so you're a lightning clown.
Yeah.
Now we got to talk about the name.
Mooch.
Yeah. We got to talk about the name because clearly lightning clown and mooch do not tie in.
No.
not in that realm, but maybe in a different realm.
I could probably take a guess on why you got mooch.
So before we go anywhere, with involving the character and his name being Mooch, that has no relevance. Like that was just something we just kind of put together. There is no way the name ties in with the character. It's just the name was given to me and it kind of just stuck with the character. That was it.
Yeah, kind of like what?
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
You were gonna say though, Jeremy?
No, I mean, I was gonna say I can kind of take a guess on why they called you Mooch, but we'll see if I'm correct.
Okay, so
you're gonna make Paul say it.
I'm gonna make Paul say it. I'm not gonna say it.
No, it's okay. So 2018, like over the summer when we were practicing, we would always go to In-N-Out right after practice. And most of the time, I didn't have any money to buy food. So I would just kind of sit there and hang out. And I would look over at my friends and I'd be like, hey, are you going to finish that? And then some of them would like hand me like the rest of their food. And they'd be, they would say like, oh, you're such a mooch, and from then on out it just kind of stuck with me.
I was right.
Yeah. Yeah, I would mooch off of my friends.
Hey, that's all right, dude.
Yeah.
It happens.
I can tell you right now, it is better than the name Big Mac, and I'm only bringing up Big Mac because that was basically the rink name that they were going to give me, because my haunt box had red duct tape on top, but the wheels were yellow. They were thinking like McDonald's because of your haunt box, so they wanted to call me
funny.
Big Mac at some point.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times your haunt name doesn't match your character.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
my partner at haunt, his name was Sweet Cheeks. Didn't match his character at all.
Where the hell that came from? Who knows? Like,
I
for
know.
me,
Well, we watch his podcast and he tells you the story.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
dude, that story is funny. Dude.
That
I don't know if
story's
That's pretty
fucking-
funny.
Yeah.
That's fucking
I saw it,
hot.
yeah.
Oh, did you see
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
So, like, for me, my backstory is ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated with fire.
Mm-hmm.
So when I actually got the chance to develop my own character, I'm like, I want something based on fire. The perfect place to base it out of is the blacksmith shop because they got a forge and whatnot. So that's how it came to be, the name Pyro. It's funny, too, because, Paul, you're going to laugh at this because one of the names I was thinking of, there's 3 names.
Mm-hmm.
Pyro,
Mm-hmm.
which I ended up taking, Spitfire,
Okay.
and Blaze,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
The
That's
funny
pretty
thing with
funny.
that, Jeremy, is Blaze is the green clown at Six Flags.
Oh.
And what even ties it in more, he does security at Knott's.
Oh, how funny.
Green clown!
Yeah, Green Cloud.
So,
That's funny.
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
tell
kinda
him to
funny.
watch it when it comes out, just so we can hear it.
Yeah, green clown. So, okay. Now here's a story that I wanted to bring up. Paul was notorious about choosing one spot in the beginning of the night. And it was always by the porta potties by the entrance, and it was a light tower. Okay, and it was those ones that look like a scaffolding.
Yeah.
So, and there's a platform that's about 4 feet high,
Yeah.
and then the pole. He stands up there. People can't see him, and he scares the shit out of them, right? So,
Yeah, I would.
you got to tell the story, Paul.
Okay. So I would always go on top of this light pole because there was like a light fixture aiming right towards the end of Intrepid. That was like a maze that you took inside, but then it led you right back to the front. So we'd go out to the gates. I would walk up to the light pole. There was just a light aiming on the entrance. So people would come out and they would instantly just get blinded. As they're walking through, they still don't see me because I'm right there. I would either, I had a thunder jug, or I would just literally just like wave my foot in front of their face and people would just drop to the floor instantly.
That's awesome.
But there was one day it was just really, really humid for no reason. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, gates open, making my way through like the brick area, and then I get to my light pole. I have to like grab onto the pole itself and then step on the 4-foot high like box like of concrete. As I'm pulling myself up, my hand slips and I just like completely like fall 4 feet down and just land flat on my back.
You told me that story. You told me that story, Scott.
Did I?
Yes, you told me that. You're
Oh my God, dude.
You're like, oh my God, you can't believe what one of my monsters did tonight. I remember you telling me that story. How
Wait,
funny.
like on the day of?
It was probably the following week. It was
okay.
Yeah. Because I
I
generally
didn't see it,
sometimes.
but I found out afterwards. I go, what the hell?
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I generally ask him like anything happened, or how was the weekend or whatever, and he would be like, "Oh my God," or he'll tell me whatever, or it was like, "Yeah, it's a typical weekend or whatever." Hence the reason why we have this podcast, because like we would always, we'd
Just
talk
chat
about
about
haunt,
stories,
yeah, and he would tell
yeah.
me stories, and
Yeah.
they're just like, dude, other people need to hear these stories. Sorry to bother. Continue.
No, you're good.
Continue about your flat back.
So landing on my back, one of our other sliders, his girlfriend and her other friends, which are also friends of ours, were just watching the entire thing happen.
Oh,
so
man.
they were photographers and they didn't have their cameras out, thankfully, like to capture
Damn.
everything in motion,
That would have been so awesome.
I know.
Keep going.
But it was so funny. Like, I get up and I get back on the pole and I'm just like hanging out there, just like doing my thing. And a minute later, Omar walks up to me and goes, "Hey, did you fall?" And I was like, "How do you know about it? Like, you weren't even near me." And he's like, "Yeah, some lady walked up to me and was like, 'Hey, your friend over there in blue just fell.'" So Omar was like, "What?" Like, I'm gonna go check on him.
Yeah, because he was up by the gate, huh?
Yeah. Right off the bat, he tends to hang up
Yeah, right at the gate.
right at front gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so funny, dude.
So
Yeah.
that's the notorious story with me. Everybody's always like, "Oh, like, say like I'm on a different podcast," and people would ask for questions. Like the host would ask for questions, and then I would always get that same question, like, "Ask him about the light pole,"
I'm
Just-
surprised they didn't call you Slip.
I mean that's a cool name.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind it.
That's so funny.
I've never heard it before.
Yeah. No, I don't think anybody has that name.
Slip.
No,
So
it's interesting.
okay, so you got we're okay. So you had 2 years. You had 2 years at Dark Harbor,
Yeah.
and we're all getting prepped for 2020 season. Pandemic hits. Boom. Everything
Yeah.
shuts down. So. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. So the 2 years that you were at Dark Harbor, is there any like maybe one or two moments that you could really vividly remember that are your favorite in the sense of whether it's a scare or some kind of interaction? We'll take out the fall.
Yes.
A positive
that
interaction.
one will live on in infamy. But yeah, definitely. For a scare, I remember I used to hang out like right in between the main gates. There was a little area of scaffolding that I would just hang on to, and there would be like sheet metal blocking my view from people that are coming in. So it was like a little like jump scare, pop scare opportunity right there. There was a group of girls coming from the bar that was right outside. Every single one of them had drinks in their hands and stuff like that. But there was one in particular that I could just tell was a little uneasy. And so they're coming to the gate. And as soon as they get to me, I just like scream as loud as I could. I stuck my hand in her face, just like shaking it. And I just remember just like shaking and falling backwards and spills her drink all over her. Her head hits like the floor. But as soon as her head hit the floor, there's a fog machine right there that just goes off in her face at the same exact moment.
You know what? I think I remember you guys telling me about that.
That's awesome.
I've definitely brought that story up because that one is the like best scare I'll ever remember. As of 3 years, or 4 years now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's pretty good.
That one always stuck with me, and I'm never gonna forget that.
So
Right.
being at Dark Harbor, would you guys try to purposely make people drop their drinks?
Yes, we had a game going at some point. We wouldn't purposefully nudge into people to make them drop them.
Just from scares only.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The highest I got, I think, was like 2 drinks. One of our buddies somehow got 4 or 5 drinks in a weekend or something like that. We always tallied it up after every weekend.
Yeah, that's a fun game to play.
But yeah, like many people
pissed.
were angry. Yeah.
Oh, they get pissed. Rightfully so. I don't blame them. It's $12, $13 for
I know.
not even an 8-ounce drink or however big.
Like going as a guest to haunts now and buying alcohol, you're like, wow, like this is actually really expensive. I understand why they get upset when they spill their drink.
Yeah.
But when you're the one that's scaring them and making them spill their drink, it's like,
fun.
that's really funny.
Well, okay, because again, I mean, yes, we go to haunts and we buy drinks, but we know better. We know we're gonna go and we're gonna have our drink to where like no monsters. We're not gonna get scared.
Here's the thing: we're not easy targets either. You can't scare us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just saying that we're not easy targets, but we still, for the most part, at least I know I'm not gonna go to where I could potentially drop my shit.
Yeah.
Just like them, I will lose my shit.
Well, you could accidentally kick a drink out of somebody's hand that's walking with you. You didn't know he had a drink in his hand.
Well, you can do that too.
That was funny.
I did that.
Scott told me that story.
Yeah.
It was literally right in front of me. I'm watching him. I'm watching Dietz and my buddy walking, and I just see a beer fall on the floor. I'm like, oh, something happened.
I tried to do the Johnny Knoxville nut kick with my heel, and it went over his hand.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Needless to say, having to buy another beer for him. Yeah. Okay. That was. Yeah.
So 2020 comes around, the pandemic hits.
Wait. Sorry, I had another question.
Oh, sorry.
It was about, okay, so let's talk a little bit about, we can put this in 2 in 1. Like, let's talk a little bit about how you felt your character development, how you developed your character, and also because this is something I've seen from you over those first 2 years is how you learned how to read people and how you thought they were gonna react when you hit them. Like, what was it in those 2 thingies? Like, let's start out with character development first.
So, remind me of the character development question.
So basically, like, tell me how you develop your character into something more that you wanted, like to represent a little bit more on the lightning side. I know the look was scarier, but what are those certain things that were typical mannerisms that you do that says that's Mooch?
So right off the bat, I would kind of have this like growl, but it wasn't like, I was just saying like but my voice was like really raspy, and so to me that kind of sounded like an electrical current.
Okay.
You could hear,
Yeah, that makes sense.
That with pretty like calm walking, like I just being very distinguished. I had my hands behind my back while I was like strolling and just moving amongst the public and just kind of weaving in and out, sort of like that a lot. I would always, if there was a group in front of me, I would try to zigzag the entire thing and go for little scares here and there. Another thing that really helped me out was I didn't have this in 2018, but 2019 I added flint to my gloves, and so lightning, very bright and flashy.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Every single slide I would slam my hands as hard as I could on the floor, and just sparks everywhere,
Would you happen to have one of your gloves right there that you can show the camera? Dude, check.
Yeah, sort of. Hold on, give me one sec. So I can't bring my headphones with me, but just hang on.
Okay. Dude, Jeremy, it's a welder's glove, bro.
Oh, wow.
It's like this big. Goes all the way up to here on him.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Look, he's got to move all this shit around.
figured since everybody basically does the same thing in a pandemic, we could probably just breeze through that. Might kind of skip it.
Yeah.
That's what I was getting at with the whole 2020 thing.
Yeah.
1 second. Okay, so with me, yeah, I'm another big glove user, as you guys were talking about it not that long ago. I use the welding gloves.
That's cool, man.
But on the other side, I use 2 plates, one small one, one big one, and then an entire flint rod piece right here, and then just the normal finger pieces.
That is insane. Those things probably weigh 10 pounds.
They are definitely hand weights.
Dude, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the Mark I Iron Man suit.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a pretty fucking dope. That's a dope glove, dude.
Those are my 2019 pair. And so they've kind of gotten heavier over the years. But my first pair, it was a normal pair of welding gloves, 1 plate. But on the wrist, like halfway into season, I noticed they started tearing a lot. And so I put 2 washers on the wrist area. And I didn't have any flint at that time. So just pretty basic sliding, scaring, just
So that's character.
nothing flashy. Yeah.
It evolves, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then
the same thing too with like the look of your character too, right? Like you started evolving that a little bit more with like more lightning type paint.
yeah, so like all over my shirt, I just started adding like UV. So I had a blue shirt and a blue and like yellow vest. But on the shirt itself, I started adding like tons of like UV paint that was also blue, so you couldn't see it, but under a black light you would see just this etching going everywhere. I'm sure I'll send photos of it very soon. I just haven't gotten to that yet, sorry.
No, that's right.
But just lots of blues and yellows all over my costume 2019. 2018, I was so unprepared for costume making. Another thing we forgot to bring up for 18.
So when you are out, when you're not in haunt season and you're out doing like the shoots or just hangouts, I guess you can say, the food truck Tuesdays, obviously you go into those as Mooch as well, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Do you have a different costume for that, or do you upgrade your costume to give it a different look?
This is a good segue. Perfect, Jeremy. It's a good segue. To
Yeah.
talk about the next stage.
So I actually do have a few other costumes, but for different seasons. So like I have one for like a Valentine's Day, or I tried to get one for St. Patrick's Day this year, but that's when I came down with vertigo and just I felt terribly sick that day, so I just wasn't able to do it. And
is that where the name comes from then?
Yes.
Okay.
At some point, I came down with vertigo in 2020.
It's funny because Scott kept talking about mentioning vertigo, and I'm like, okay, cool, let's get this person on. And then he kept saying Mooch, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna do Mooch." And I'm like thinking, wait, are we doing Vertigo? I didn't know.
Is this the same person?
I didn't know they were the same. Yeah. I'm like, how many fucking names does this guy have?
Yeah.
So is Vertigo your now from 2020 on? Is that your name? Or are
Sorry,
you still
21.
2021. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, 2020 I was still Mooch.
Okay, gotcha.
And then once he came down with the vertigo attack, that's when we kind of said, dude, Vertigo's a better name.
Yeah.
So we kind of parlayed that.
Yeah.
But your character's still the lightning
clown Mooch. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So it's just lightning clown Vertigo now, essentially.
Well,
yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Continue. I'm sure I'll get the story.
So
Let's get
the character's name now is Mooch, but my haunt name is Vertigo. That's how I would put it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I have literally like a bunch of different costumes for a lot of the seasons. Like right now we're getting close to Christmas season, which it has officially begun, I would say at this point.
Yeah.
Got a costume for that.
We're gonna go, what is he talking about? Because it's gonna come out after Christmas.
Wait. Oh, that's right.
You remember the Christmas season that just passed? They did this.
Yeah.
Yeah, last month.
Yeah, last month.
You'll see it soon.
Honestly, it's the way it's been this whole during all the interviews. Like we were talking about Spirit Awakens with Nights of Horror.
Anthony. Yeah.
Before like a month and a half before it happened. And we're talking about, and theirs isn't going to air until Monday. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've already been through a haunt season and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, like just having tons of different costumes for this one character and somehow just keeps evolving into other things. And
so
it's really interesting how I put it.
Sidetrack because this is kind of my forte. Have you, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a design idea for your costume. Have you thought about integrating LED like lightning strips?
I have.
Okay.
It was a one-time thing at a photo meet. I don't have those lights anymore, but I do have some photos with it was literally like just a tube of like really small like little LEDs just wrapping around like the inside of like my vest. You can barely see it in one photo, but it's just going through like the top area up here. It's just going across my chest and you can see it there. But one day I would really like to try it because I had actually asked Katie Dietz in 2019 if I could. And she said no because she doesn't think they're durable enough to last the entire season.
Wow.
So I almost did do that.
Well, it'd be kind of cool because then you can put it on you coming from like a certain area, and having it every now and then just kind of pulsate, like how and turn off,
like lightning.
Yeah,
literally,
But put a thinner coat over it, so it kind of
like an opaque
it'll diffuse it a little bit.
Yes,
and it's faint. And it's because you don't want it to be like
it looks like it's going through a cloud or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like if you wore a thin lab coat.
Yeah. Because they're LEDs. Like a lot of people are doing that on their ceilings. They're using cotton and they're putting LEDs.
I have seen that. I've really been wanting to do that actually.
And the LEDs are designed to do that pattern.
Yeah.
That would look fucking sick on you, dude.
Definitely.
And
maybe someday,
Okay.
So talk a little bit more about Vertigo. Let's touch on that a little bit because we're parlaying into the next character. I know this is when we're stuck in the middle of the pandemic. We're going to kind of graze over that because everybody was in the shit.
We were over 2020. All I did was work the haunted car wash. I did it for a couple days and it was cool. It was a nice experience. Got to work with some Knott's monsters and other haunts from around the surrounding areas, and it was just cool. It was pretty simple. Definitely a different experience because everybody was in their car,
Yeah.
And we were like, what do we do, But at that point, we just started opening people's doors, and they were getting terrified and shutting their doors, and that was the way to scare at that time.
Was a good time.
Yeah. Going past that though now. We said it was the middle, right?
Yeah, I just because a lot of people did the same kind of thing, but it's good. I totally forgot about the haunted car wash because I worked it for a night too.
Yeah.
I worked Halloween.
So let's see. Okay, Vertigo.
Yeah.
Around early March, I just remember getting sick at Downtown Disney, and I was like, okay, this is not good. This could potentially be COVID and whatnot, and I just don't even know it. And so I got tested right away, negative. I was like, okay, cool. That's out of the way. I'm fine. But I still feel sick. Like I'm always nauseous, like 100% of the time. There was never a time where I wasn't. I'm doing like doctor visits. It's every like other week. I'm just going to the doctors and doing tests galore. Every single test that I took came back normal. I was literally a healthy young man, and I'm just like feeling nauseous, and I'm like, no, I'm not. Something is wrong, and I don't know what it is.
And you were
a couple months.
You had nausea too, huh?
Yeah, literally, like as soon as I would wake up, I would just like I couldn't do anything,
And dizzy spells and all that.
Wow.
and literally like, just my world was spinning for months.
Damn.
Literally a couple and a half, you know. But that last little half that I just brought up was the only time that my doctors checked my ears, and as soon as she checked both ears, she was like, "You have an ear infection on both of your ears. Because of that, it's throwing off your equilibrium in your head, and that's what's causing you to have vertigo." And so, as soon as I found that out, I told everybody, I was like, "This is what I have. This is what it is. I know how to fix it." And then, as soon as I told the team, they were like, "We have something to tell you now." And then I think we all met up one day, and they were like, "Your new haunt name's Vertigo." And I was like, "Oh, that's really cool. Actually, I dig that."
Yeah.
As far as character development goes, just spinning.
Yeah, spinning.
That's as best as I could describe it. Just being dizzy,
So
you know, and
he's got nothing but swirls over everything.
yeah.
So this is for your. So now we're at Haunt now. We're at Scary Farm now, right?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Sort of. So I have like just a off-season character.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like how we do these like when we were doing these food truck Tuesday
Yeah.
events, I would bring this character out every now and then, and obviously his name's Vertigo, and just I would just kind of wing it. I wouldn't really know what to do, and I still don't have a true feel on this character, but just kind of acting like I'm losing my balance everywhere, and if I'm losing my balance going towards a group, that's when I would kind of go for a scare. So I'd be like falling and then go for this
That's cool.
scare, you know? Yeah. Jumping to Scary Farm.
No.
Or
No, you got
Or what?
You worked someplace else before Scary Farm.
someplace else before? I don't want to talk about that.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So for a couple weekends, going into haunt season, I had worked LA Haunted Hayride, and it was definitely an experience. I will tell you that. It was just, I don't know. It was easy going into and doing everything that they had told us what to do. Like we were following those rules, but it was just, it felt really like unorganized and just nothing.
It wasn't really a good fit for you.
Yeah, that definitely was.
Yeah.
It was so different from what I'm used to, you know, like just even for like kind of like almost working a maze, but it was just like outside. And it felt too weird to me. Like it's a mixture of streets and a maze. It just, I don't know, it doesn't seem right with a hayride going through. And you know, like if they were to give us like a little more freedom, even though I know it's a safety issue, like if we were able to like interact with like the hayride like platform where everybody sat down on, I think we would have had a little bit more fun. But I don't want to talk bad on the event because
No.
It wasn't a good fit for you. So
Yeah.
Because we're talking
You're
about
gonna
your
change.
journey, so that's part of your journey, and it's good to know that there are events that you will work that just aren't a good fit. And there are events that you will work that are perfect. But it may not be perfect for you, but it'll be perfect for somebody else. So it's not a knock on the event. It's just as a seasoned haunter, or even a haunter coming from an event like Dark Harbor or Not Scary Farm or Universal or wherever, where you have a big, you have a big environment as well as a little bit of freedom. Going into a tight, a small place like that it does. Because trust me, like when I did a couple nights at the Chamber of Chills, which is a haunted event in Bakersfield, done by our good friend Dave Enlow, We went there. It was definitely a different experience for sure. It was a maze, and they had a little outdoor area where the line was, and we worked out there and stuff. And it's the same thing. He didn't pigeonhole us. He was just like, no, you guys do your thing. I'm not going to tell you what to do, which was good. That was the bonus of us being seasoned, and he knew what we can do. But in your situation, they have an extremely themed event. They have a storyline that they want to stick to. Yeah. But at the same time, they're doing it during a pandemic. They're also doing it in an area that's extremely dark. And then they're also doing it with a hayride that can run your asses over. So all that, all that mentioned, I kind of get it. Yeah. So, but again, it wasn't a fit for you. So you decided, okay, I'm going to bounce and go.
Yeah. At some point, I had to make a decision and just kind of ask some of the higher ups at Scary Farm. I was like, hey, is there any positions open, and I was willing to take a maze. I was ready for anything. I just wanted out of LA Haunted Hayride. Yeah. Some of the people that I met at Hayride were very awesome, and some I knew from Dark Harbor. Love those guys to death. I will never have anything bad to say about them, but just the event as a whole, I just couldn't work there. It was too different for me. Right. And so I had to ask about Scary Farm, and right off the bat, I was gonna be actually put into Camp Snoopy, which I was pretty happy for, is knowing that most of my haunt inspiration as of 2017, 2018, figuring out everything, that Camp Snoopy was one of the first spots. I was really happy knowing I was gonna go into that, but then one of the higher ups was like, "Oh, I'll just put you with all of your other Queen Mary friends and Boardwalk," and I was like, "Oh yeah, totally, yeah, that's perfect." Then
right. Clowns go to clowns.
Exactly.
So a funny thing about the term clown. Okay, so 2 years at Harbor, I was a clown. I go to LA Haunted Hayride, I was still a clown, and then at Knott's, I'm still a clown.
Clown is in your blood.
Yeah. Just something about that. It's just kind of it's always pulling me towards that direction. I know how to work it, and it was going into Scary Farm. Obviously, my first night, I just went all out, but that first weekend, I was stiff as a board. Couldn't do it. I was just I didn't know what exactly to do. I was still getting used to the zone. Bearings, yeah. Exactly. Well, I was just getting used to the zone.
Were you you obviously weren't sliding.
No. So that was a bit of a change for me, but I definitely needed that experience. I needed to figure out what I can do now, limiting a huge prop that has been a part of my life. That
could have been a reason why you were a little stiff as well, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I know when I didn't slide at Chamber, it threw me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, not sliding was a little different for me, and some of the people that I knew that were working Scary Farm, they're like, "You're not sliding? Why?" We've seen you at Harbor put on shows for us. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, this is just the rule, and I'm gonna follow the rule because this is not my home, I'm here to listen to what they have to tell me, because I'm showing up a little late. I get that, and I don't want to upset them or anything, so I just kind of left it as is and followed the rules, and
it's their sandbox.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm there to play in their sandbox. I'm not gonna anger them or anything.
It's a fun sandbox too.
100%. I literally had an absolute blast there. Everybody was super welcoming to every single one of us that was a part of the Queen Mary crew that had jumped over. Yeah. Just I felt very at ease there. It was just a different vibe. I literally might have gotten, going back to the first thing we talked about, I literally got touched maybe once in that way, At Dark Harbor, it was a weekend thing. It was every weekend, just that's how I got that thick skin, it was so constant. it just grew over me like nothing.
Yeah.
So coming into Knott's, not having that vibe in our area was a little eye-opening. I was like, whoa, this is way different. And, you know, like it feels really, really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, from what I understand is you got pretty tight with the entire crew over there, right? Boardwalk?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody seemed
Definitely the older vets really took a liking to not just me, but everybody, all of the QM sliders that had showed up, because they were like, dude, we always love to go into your guys' events and just hanging out and watching you guys like do our work, like what we usually do, you know. And
well, in your defense, you guys killed it. Like, you know, I didn't go to the event. I watched everything on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then some YouTube stuff, and all the stuff that Anthony was posting. And from what I saw, man, you guys are awesome. And I really specifically paid attention to all the Queen Mary people in that area because, you guys killed it. And yeah, rightfully so. They should welcome you guys in because, you know, you guys were raw talent that came in and really probably upped that area. I heard that area was #1 this year.
Yeah, we did so well that we ended up getting a Golden Haunt Award.
And edged out.
Sorry, last year. Sorry, last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Last year. At this point, yeah. But yeah, literally, like we got Golden Haunt Award. We were competing with the newest Scare Zone Goring 20s the entire time. It was insane. Like it was just always a constant battle. Yeah. To the point where they were literally right across the pond on the other side of Johnny Rockets. They were like right there border with us, you know, like we would yell at each other. We would literally yell at each other like from across the pond. It was like just a constant fight.
How funny.
Yeah.
We ended up beating them, I heard, by 1 point.
Yeah.
It was that close of a you know, fight.
Yeah.
And I love those guys to death. You know, those Goring 20 people are so much fun to interact with, being, you know, 100 feet away from each other.
Yeah, screaming at each other across the fountain.
But literally, like, beating them by 1 point, and it was the best feeling ever, knowing that it was my first year there, you know?
Yeah.
Such a memorable moment, and I just remember being told that we had won, and all of us just started running up and down our midway, just screaming at the top of the lungs, and just going to other monsters that were further down that hadn't gotten the news yet, just telling them, and then them screaming, and then a whole domino effect of just that would go on. And just I don't know, cool. Just knowing that happened my first year in my zone, you know, is just so memorable, and never gonna forget that, you know.
Yeah, the majority of the Queen Mary people landed in Boardwalk, and then I had two in
Ghost Town, right?
Ghost Town, yeah.
Yeah.
So, but you know, we
definitely
all spread out. You know, majority at one venue, but still spread.
That's good. I mean, not gained them, so that's a bonus, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how, like, as far as your character over there, your Vertigo clown,
yeah,
you feel like there's still more to develop with that specific character?
Kind of, because I really found how I would truly act as a clown on streets at Knott's, because at Queen Mary, I know I was a little more like quiet and just like a lot of just weaving and scaring, you know.
Yeah,
but
different type of character.
But Knott's, and specifically Boardwalk, because of how bright it is, everybody can see you. There is no sense of hiding anywhere. You are out amongst the public. Like, there's no little kiddie corners you can hide behind, you know. But Knott's really opened up my like ability to like really talk to people and really interact. Like this was easily the most talking I've done since the 2 seasons I did at Dark Harbor. You know, like this beats it by a long shot.
It forces you to develop a character. It really forces you to
exactly.
get into a character, and especially when you're in an area like Carnival, and that's super lit.
Yeah.
It forces you to be creative on the scares and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Having props is really key.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you didn't have a prop on you, basically out there, at least just to hold around, like you would get picked on by guests, like a lot. Like I had other friends that would get picked on because they didn't have a prop. But as soon as they had a prop in their hand, nobody would like want to talk or walk up to them. It was so weird.
And it's funny because as I was watching through the season, I noticed a couple people, but one in particular was Goddess of Galaxies. I don't know her real name.
Oh, Cherry.
I noticed she
Squirt.
didn't.
I call her Squirt because she reminds me of Astrid, Jeremy.
Squirt, yes, exactly. But she, her little lollipop prop expanded. Like it really developed more and more. And then once I started watching her, like the way she was using it for scares, her little spin thing that she started doing.
Oh, the first time I saw that, I was just so blown away. I was like, she literally found like a whole new character here.
Yeah.
It was literally insane. At Dark Harbor, she was kind of the same way, like as me. She was a lot more vocal. Don't get me wrong, at Dark Harbor, but it wasn't as much as Knott's. It's really, really cool to see something blossom like that.
Yeah.
I got to see a lot of that.
Yeah,
it's 3 nights I came and sat and watched and just the development process is insane.
Yeah.
And how people start to evolve into their characters more and more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun to watch that.
Yeah.
Even being a monster and you're watching your fellow coworkers.
Oh yeah.
It just their characters just grow and grow is really cool.
Yeah, especially like every single night, just watching Cherry go out. Just every night it was something new she would do with that lollipop alone. But even like her character work, she would always try to like try something new. She's very like ambitious out there on streets.
Yeah, the change up of your guys' makeup too probably helped.
Yes,
I don't know how.
100%.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you have face makeup?
I had a mask.
You had a mask
this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I know like a few of them that had face makeup. I've seen. I saw like the face painted different weekends.
Yeah,
and you see the character.
I'm sorry, Cherry's haunt name is Lala Loopsy.
Yeah,
the haunt one. Yeah. I was going based off of her IG handle.
Yeah.
Redvine had
makeup too.
Yeah. So and you saw a progression of their makeup as well as you saw the character kind of come through. I know like my Scott and I's years, and you could probably vouch for this, Scott, that your character changed every time your face was painted differently.
100%.
So,
I don't know if you know this, Paul. My character was based, like, my attitude was based on the color of my face that night.
You told me. I remember you telling me one time, like sometimes you would have blue, fire, or like yellow.
Yeah. Like when I was super pissed, I was like blue and white because that's the hottest flame.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen some footage. I think from Season of Screams where you're getting like you were getting like yellow fire on your face one night.
Yeah, that was the first generation pyro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the horns were the spikes were set up differently, and Mel was still doing my makeup. Jeremy.
Who?
Yeah, Mel. Yeah, that was one of my favorite pieces that she did though, because it was all fire like this and it was black.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is like I didn't really develop that part until the second generation face.
Gotcha.
When I was first generation, I did blues, whites, I did greens and yellows, blacks and reds, all that stuff. I even did a Darth Maul paint.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I didn't do it, but my makeup artist did, and it turned out sick.
You turned out so cool. You couldn't even really see your face out there. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It was really awesome.
It was great. So
you go through, you get, hired at Knott's, you have a blast, you gain, I don't know, did you gain more scare skills being in such a lit area?
I wouldn't say scare skills, but I definitely picked up a lot of improv. Mm-hmm. Improv became my best friend this year. Just coming up with things right off the bat, off the top of your head, and just having fun with it, kind of winging it here and there, and not always being scary. That was probably the main thing. Yeah. Because we were told to, like, our mask was supposed to look super welcoming, but our characters itself had to be somewhat scary. So knowing that I had a welcoming face, mm-hmm. Sometimes I would just try to either be funny or I would just somewhat like entertain people. Like I wasn't always scaring, I was always, sometimes I would crack jokes with people, or I would say like, I would go up to like a lot of kids and I would be like, hey, you want to see me scare that person? And then I would just like go over there and scare them. And then I would watch them like laugh or something, Right. I would make the kids feel very like okay to be in Boardwalk, whereas as if they would go to Ghost Town, there's no remorse on kids anywhere. Yeah. Or Camp Snoopy,
we would do the same thing at Ghost Town. Really depending on the kids. If the kids were super cool, or if the parents were super cool and the kid was a little petrified, I would be like, what I would do is I would take the kid and I would let the kid come scare with me. Safely,
a little bit of bear
safely, but like it really helps them. It almost brings you back to when you first scared. Mm-hmm. You're just like, oh my god, look at I have power. Yeah, and it was the same reaction to see their face when they scare. It's just they just have that like, and they look at their parents like, did you see what I just did? And it's like, it kind of eases them up. But when the parents are dicks, I'm an asshole to the kids. Well,
absolutely.
Oh my god, yeah,
100%. It hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing about Boardwalk is you have the option to be scary, funny, engaging. Yep. So because more of the entertainment value, because that's what clowns do. You're not all John Wayne Gacy's.
Yeah.
In Ghost Town, it was a little more deliberate in the sense of you have to be scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's the nature of that zone. I mean, look at it compared to Boardwalk.
Yeah.
Boardwalk looks a lot more playful. And
like also like
gonna just fucking come at you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like going on top of what you said, like how Boardwalk is very like entertainment like and very like engaging with character. If like we didn't like somebody, we would just like start roasting them. Like there was no holding back, if they were like some weird like annoying kid, we would kind of go off on them and we wouldn't hold back, and that was just adding on to what we would do.
Yeah that's the entertainment value of it.
Yeah.
So did they provide you a face, or did you get your own?
I actually, so you'll see photos of this mask, but with a lot of different paint on it.
Oh, okay.
It's probably got like 6 layers of paint.
I can't even tell you how many layers. It's way more than 6. I can tell you that for sure.
It probably will crack off too if he bends it the wrong way.
I have it right there. I could probably peel off a chunk for you right now.
Shit.
How funny.
It's that easy to peel off the paint at this point. But the mask that I had was my mooch mask for off season, like when we were doing the street food events or any QM slider events that we would host, or like the photo meets that we would go to, because they still have them today.
Yeah.
I would take that mask everywhere, but every time I would change something on it. I would change the paint,
Mm-hmm.
But for Scary Farm, I remember going up to head of wardrobe Tim, and he was like, "Buddy, gotta lose the teeth on that thing. I was like, what? Like, you're gonna make me cut it? And then he was like, yep, it's gotta go. Your face cannot be scary. It has to be really welcoming and super like Cirque du Soleil type of style clowns, like I would say like 70s clowns, almost sort of around that era.
That's why the muted tones on the clothes.
Yes, 100%.
Right color.
Reds, blacks, a little bit of white, and plaid.
Like that tan coat.
That was the color. Yeah, he told me to cut the teeth off and give it a repaint. Added some it was a pretty basic like makeup setup, but very effective when used properly. And I showed it to Tim after repaint, and he just fell in love with it. He was like, dude, this is so sick. Like, it's so simple, but it's awesome. And I love it.
That's good.
Simpler the better.
Yeah. Just
Tim can be a tough guy to please, so
it was literally 4 triangles, a black outline on the smile, and red cheeks. That was it. And a white base.
Yeah.
And
that's all you needed.
Yeah, I completely fell in love with that makeup too. It was just, I was like working on it. I literally had one night to paint the mask, so I did. And I was like, I don't want to go too much, so I'm just gonna do whatever I can at this moment. And looked up a few photos on the web and found a few inspirations. I don't have any of those photos saved, but
okay, you got what you got.
Yeah, definitely. And
not everybody's like me that saves every single reference photo possible. No demand. I have like 100 gigs of reference photos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude, he's crazy.
But
he's
it's
crazy.
It's part of my profession, so it's good to have.
Yeah. 100%.
Reference photo? Oh, I'm going to throw another one in there. Throw another one in there.
We used to, it was funny because, like, when we were in school, like, we would try to, like, we would have competitions on who has the most gig space when it comes to reference photos. And we'd come across, like, oh, I have 5 gigs of anatomy reference photos. Like, oh, wow. I have 10 gigs of environments.
I have 3 terabytes full of reference photos.
Yeah, that's why.
Just clowns.
Yeah, and it was funny because we were in a character design class, and sorry, my kids are knocking on my door, and they like this one guy came across these super high res. Back then they were high res scans of these faces. Now they're just like gigapixels of scans for face texture and face anatomy and stuff. And he came in, he's like, I got 20 gigs of just face. And we're like, where the fuck did you get that? Wow. He was like, oh, I just found this website, and I just sat there for like 10 hours and stole them all. And like, well, you better start sharing.
Download.
Yeah, better start sharing that shit. So
yeah.
So I ended up with a shit ton of fucking shit ton of references. But references are key. So
yeah, definitely. Like just having Tim tell me like Cirque du Soleil clown, I was clueless. I just didn't know what to choose from. Like didn't know exactly what to do. So I just looked up a few and then
look up. I was gonna say, you didn't look up Cirque du Soleil?
No, I did.
Oh, okay.
Like that night that he told me, like later that night, as soon as I got home, because I was like, I have to paint this now so I can use it and show it to him tomorrow. Yeah. And so just there was no way I was gonna want to use a warehouse bee mask. Nothing bad about them, they just don't fit me.
They don't fit anybody.
They're generic, so
they do not fit anybody.
They're huge.
Yeah.
I remember for my first year at Streets, and I looked through that band, and I'm like, nope, I'm gonna go buy one. I didn't even ask. I just went and bought it and used it.
So I ended up cutting the teeth off and then repainting, and thankfully he said yes. That was the main key. I just wanted him to say yes about it, and I ended up getting a wig with a hat built onto it, and just having fun from there on out.
That's cool.
Clearly.
Long sleeve brown shirt, plaid pants, red socks. And that was it.
Did you have suspenders too, or no?
I did. Sorry, red suspenders. Yeah.
Nice.
I was like, most of you guys had suspenders.
Yeah. Yeah, because those pants were a little loose on me. So
Yeah, just a little bit. Because they're like PJ pants, dude.
yeah, literally they were PJ pants, but
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, easily the most comfortable costume out there.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet.
Those loose
Well,
pants.
it's a
really,
big change from you wearing skinny jeans.
Yeah, that was 2018 at Dark Harbor.
I don't know.
Like I said, I didn't know how to come up with a costume, so I just found some jeans one day, and with the knee pads on and everything, they were pretty tight.
Well, at least they were guys' jeans, because dude, my first year in streets, they issued me chicks' jeans, and I didn't realize it.
they knew you before you knew you.
Yeah, clearly. I blew the crotch out. I kept telling him, hey, these are kind of tight. She's like, well, you got to blow them out so we can put a gusset in it. So I blew them out. I'm like, here you go. She's like, okay. You know? So that's easy to do, though.
Yeah.
You know,
So I guess we can end it with the final question of, yeah. So I'll ask this question. So if Dark Harbor comes back next year, what's going to be your choice?
Ooh,
The harbor or the farm?
It's definitely a tough question, and I've heard this multiple times already this year. I know you're looking at me.
Go with your heart. Go with your heart.
Yeah. So right now, if it does come back, I do plan on staying at Scary Farm, because I would want my experiences to grow at another haunt. You know, I don't want to just go back to Dark Harbor, do the same thing all over again, even though it's so much fun. I love that family, the Dark Harbor family, so much. Everybody in management there was super awesome. You know, like never had an issue. Yeah. But it's now the same story with Scary Farm. I didn't have a single issue this season with anybody. It was just, I had an absolute blast. Like I did my 2018 year at Harbor. And again, just feeling very welcome into Scary Farm from everybody there. They really like welcomed us with open arms, and I would definitely want to stay.
You'll be able to slide.
Yeah, that too.
That'll change everything.
Yeah, second year street talent, becoming a slider now. I'm really looking forward to that, and knowing that I get to do it at the place that started it, that's probably like the main key that's like driving it right now.
That's
definitely
a driving force for a lot.
Yeah,
guys, you know.
It's you know, and it was Scott and I had the conversation, and part of the reason why I asked the question, and you know, because he had mentioned that, you know, he asked you guys the same question, and some of you were like, I might want to stay at Knott's, and some said I want to go, you know, back to Dark Harbor.
Yeah.
And you know, with the whole Knott's thing, it's really hard to want to leave something that it's going to be stable indefinitely for the most part. But an event that's obviously bigger, and it's the mothership, you know. Yeah. And there's so many. There's so much room to grow there. So it's a hard decision, you know, and
yeah, it definitely was hard thinking about it. Just as the season ended, I was already like, what am I gonna do? You know, am I going back to Dark Harbor, or am I gonna stay here at Knott's? And
because you always want to respect your roots, you know.
100%.
And it's like Dark Harbor, like, well, I won't say Dark Harbor. Queen Mary is like, it's sinking. You know,
at the moment,
literally it's sinking, as well as financially. Everything about it is just a shit wreck.
Shit wreck.
So it's really hard to, like, even if they do come back, it's really hard to make that decision of, like, you know, of going back when you have an opportunity to grow so much at Not Scary Farm.
Yeah.
So, but if, you know, with your decision of wanting to go back to Knott's, like, after working a few weeks there, because you were there 3 weeks, right?
I was there 4.
4 weeks. Okay, so after working the event, Do you now have a goal of like of potentially moving to another zone eventually, or do you like
besides
County
Boardwalk?
Evil?
I wouldn't mind Camp Snoopy or Ghost Town, just because those are where a lot of my inspiration came from. Some of my mentors like Dieterman, Paul Frechette, Spaz, Gary, like those guys I tend to look up to because they were like the most active to me. Like I hear about them so frequently and how crazy all of you guys were, back in the day. And
yeah, we were a little bit nuts.
I just
stupid. The word stupid.
Those two scare zones really stood out to me just from hearing those stories,
Yeah.
And so Camp Snoopy or Ghost Town I would really want to try to strive for.
Yeah, Scott and I were at Knott's on Thanksgiving, and we were walking. We were walking through Camp Snoopy, and we both were like, "I would love to work Snoopy."
Yeah.
Ghost Town's awesome and fun. It's my roots, and when the 50th comes, I definitely want to go back for that and go back to. But man, I definitely want to work Snoopy. Just for one night or something. It's like that would be. That would be a lot of fun because going through there during Haunt, the new theme. One, I like the theme. The Hollow, yeah, I love the new theme. It's freaking rad.
Such an amazing vibe.
Yeah, I didn't
really love it.
I just wish they did a little bit more decor work in there. That's all.
Yeah. I didn't care too much for the theme before that.
The Gauntlet. Oh no, Necropolis.
The Gauntlet.
No, it was Necropolis before the Hollow.
Oh, okay.
But Gauntlet was the first one.
That's what I'm saying. I'm talking to Gauntlet. I don't remember Necropolis. That was obviously during the times that I wasn't.
Yeah, that was the Victorian era.
No, I didn't.
Vampires and demons and stuff.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, okay.
There was a handful of years I didn't go nuts.
Yeah, it was kind of steampunk vibe too, with gears. And
oh
stuff
no, I
like
remember that. Okay, I do remember that. But either way, Gauntlet, I wasn't too crazy about. Steampunk, I didn't mind, but the new one I like a lot. The characters look fucking rad, and so it fits so well in that era, in that area, but not the era, but the area. Sorry, I can't speak. I have a huge headache.
It's all good.
And the thing is too is like, yeah, it's always tough to see your people leave, but my term that I've been using for a while now is growth is eternal. And if you feel like you need to move on to grow, to continue to grow, then so be it. Do that.
So adding on to the growth, I thought about it a little bit. I was like, if I leave, I open up a spot for the Queen Mary sliders for a younger rookie to hop in. I would really want to see somebody take my shoes and do the exact same thing that I did, like I want somebody to feel like I can go into a bigger haunt now. I'm gonna try Queen Mary and I'm gonna go to they're gonna end up filling my spot. I would really love to see that happen.
People don't leave haunt unless they're fired, meaning leaving haunt going to another event. They don't do that unless they're fired or not asked back. That's the only reason somebody would leave haunt, unless you have a person that has a character that wants to appear in multiple haunts. That's a different story, but Knotts would never accept that character. So
they don't do guest talent at Knotts like that. Queen Mary did. Fortunate that Queen Mary does that because we've had some really good guest talent.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's rad that the Queen Mary did that, and that's I really wish that other events would do that, and which they do. A good majority of them do. Pongo Joe's a prime example. He travels the nation, appearing at multiple haunts, but they're all independent haunts. But back to what I was saying, you only leave Knotts if you're fired to go to another event. Yeah. And it's true. Yeah. Everybody that I know.
For me, I was, in an unfortunate circumstance, I was blessed with the change that I made. Right. And it put me on on the path I'm at now. Yeah. So, as rocky as it is,
Yeah, but there are circumstances too that you know people would leave Knott's for other reasons.
Yeah.
Like Wade's is a prime example. He left and then started doing other events. You know, he didn't get fired. He retired, but then he started doing other events just to get back because he moved around. He left the area.
Yeah.
So he started doing events in the mid. I think he did one in the
He's in
Midwest.
Ohio now.
He's in Ohio now.
Yeah.
No, he's in
Cedar
Colorado
Point.
now.
Yeah, I know, but
he
out of the Ohio.
when he went because he left here to go to Ohio.
Yeah.
He and his stepson did an event there. And then he, stayed connected with that, which is Cedar Fair. And it just reminded him of how Knott's used to be. And he just decided to stay there. So
it's in the infant stages, baby stages now.
Baby stage, yeah. It's the freedom stage.
Yeah, it's not to the level of Knott's, but they're taking cues from Knott's going forward.
Yeah.
Constantly every year, so it's great.
Yeah, I mean, things have changed drastically at Knott's, but it's still probably the only event that you're going to have as much freedom and fun for the most part.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, I've done 2 other events, and I did Knott's 2015, and as rough as that year was for me for a couple reasons, it's still the best. It's still, I wouldn't, if I had a choice to go back to anywhere, it'd be there. So I see a reason of wanting to go back for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the memories I have obviously a lot of great memories of Knott's too, but I have a lot of memories just working the 2 years that I was at Dark Harbor, I mean, obviously it would have been 3-4 years if we didn't have the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Things would have been different. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Life moves on, man.
Yeah. But damn, dude, that was okay. You didn't think you had much, dude, but we're coming up on 2 hours now.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were able to touch on, I think every point from when you started to current day.
Well, a half hour of it was probably your swollen head or whatever the heck you guys are calling it. Your
smooth brain.
Your smooth brain. I'll edit those out, so it'll be about an hour.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm lazy. I'm not going to edit anything out.
So before we end this though, Paul, why don't you plug your social media pages?
You can follow me at bs.vertigo on Instagram. I think that's mostly
it's the only one that matters, dude.
Oh wait,
yeah. That's
he's got another IG page which you guys might want to look up. It's called Lightning Boy Jackets.
Yeah. Lightning Boy _ jackets.
_ yeah. Dude,
Yeah. So basically what I do with that.
Talk about that.
Mainly aiming for like the metalhead community, or if you want to make a Halloween themed what we call battle jackets, and it's just a denim jacket with patches all over it.
I'm thinking about
I make those.
I'm thinking about doing it. He makes them.
No, no, I didn't hear what you said. I'm sorry.
But yeah, like I make a lot of those jackets. All I do is the sewing. I do the labor of getting the patches onto the jacket. That's what I do.
Yeah.
But I can do it.
You call them battle jackets. When I think of battle jackets, I think of windbreakers and breakdancing. So why do you call the denim one?
Okay.
Why do you call Aren't you leaning against one, Paul?
What? Oh yeah, actually, yeah.
Show one, bro.
So this is like my Halloween. Hold on, I gotta get up. Hold on.
Just take it off the chair, bro.
I'm trying to, but it's like wrapped around the whole chair. So
nice.
That has my Mooch back patch, my Vertigo name patch on the top. I usually take these to haunts with me.
Sweet.
Is that a better?
Yeah, you wore that at Spirit Awakens or Awaken a Spirit, right?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the front side.
Oh, dude, that freaking Queen Mary patch is sick.
I got
Dude, that wasn't Paul. Isn't that Queen Mary patch an old shirt?
Yeah, it's the original T-shirts. I just cut the logo and then sewed on the T-shirt.
Dude, that looks like a freaking patch from here. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man.
Wait, is it just the t-shirt straight on the vest, or did you
Yeah,
you didn't stitch anything on the back of it?
under the back, like
the back
as
of the
a
t-shirt?
as a border.
Yeah, to make it rigid so it's
Nope,
easier to.
it's straight up the T-shirt.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm thinking
And
about
so-
having to make me one, dude.
This
Nice.
jacket, this one took me a little bit just because of that Queen Mary patch.
Oh
Right
yeah,
there.
I can imagine.
It was like adding another back patch. Back patches take the longest time to do,
Yeah.
just because of how big
So
they are.
you
You know?
hand stitch it?
Yes, all hands sewing. I kind of pride myself in that when working on these, and I just, yeah, I have I think like 6 others that I'm also working on.
Nice.
That are all
He
personal.
sewed my Master Sergeant patches on my duster.
He what? I'm sorry.
He sewed my patches on my duster.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the one you showed me. Yeah.
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 That's cool.
I've done a couple other jackets, Halloween themed jackets for a couple other friends, mostly Six Flags people. I did one really crazy jacket for a Six Flags friend of ours. Dietz, you know her.
Yeah. It's okay. You can say her character name on this podcast.
Tricks the Trickster. There we go.
Tricks. Yeah.
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 The jacket's dope, dude.
Yeah, I did. She had a long sleeve jacket that she even wanted patches on the sleeves.
Oh wow.
And so that took me so long to sew on, but we got it done, and it was tons of fun working on it.
That's
What do you
cool.
think is gonna happen if I have you do one, dude? It's gonna be long sleeve, bro. Not a vest.
That's okay. I'm willing to do it. You know, that was Trix's jacket is a prime example of me just going through it.
Yeah.
And that was a new experience for me, and it worked out. You know, I had only been doing just vests at that point, and then I did hers, and came out pretty good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, guys, go get your jackets done by him.
Yeah.
Let's all
Yeah.
get battle jackets. Because mine will
Telling you,
be
man,
mine will be a
we just went to the Santa Fe Springs swap meet, and we saw, dude. I gotta say this. We saw Iron Maiden cover band. They were so good.
Oh, you guys, did you guys go there with Anthony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw the videos. That's
Yeah,
cool. I didn't see you guys.
And those two took me to this booth where they had all these freaking patches, dude.
That's awesome.
I'm like, I
Yeah.
want that one. I want that one. I want that one.
Like that specific booth at the swap meet is like our main supplier.
That's so funny.
Yeah,
I used
that's
to
where
go
we
to
get
that
all-
swap meet back in the late 80s, early 90s, and get
Wow.
and got my overalls airbrush there.
Duh.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
man,
really
Santa
cool.
Fe swap meet, man, some huge history.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was a dude there that used to airbrush all of our stuff.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't
They
think
just
it's
they
any-
just updated the stage. It's like
I
a whole
saw it.
amphitheater
I saw
now.
it. I was like, dude, that's the swap meet. What the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That looked pretty dope.
Yeah.
And then of
And it's
course,
still only $2 to get in,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
which is dope.
yeah. I wanted to go when
Definitely.
we were there, but we never got around to it. We used to go there all
Yeah.
the time.
See,
Yeah,
now I want to
like
get a
that.
jacket done. Paul. Chances are I'd probably wear it once or twice, but it'd be cool to have.
Yeah. Like that jacket I just showed you. Like I tend to wear it only at like outside events, and some of the outside events I'm in costume. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't wear it all the time.
Yeah.
If it's a cold day at a haunt, specifically Six Flags,
Y'all.
because that place is in the mountains and it gets super cold.
Yeah,
Dude,
I'll wear that with, like, a hoodie.
North Face jacket there and a hoodie, and I was still kind of brisk.
wow.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Or Universal, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that place tends to get pretty cold too at night.
It's in the
But,
mountains, in the mountains as well,
Yeah.
or in the valley or whatever the hell.
But,
Well,
So yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, Vertigo, Mooch, all three
MVP.
of you, MVP.
MVP.
Thank you very much for joining us, buddy. It's good
Thank you
seeing
guys for having me
again.
on.
Of course,
Of course, dude.
Anytime, man. And we're also gonna like bring people back just to You know, as Nights of Horror calls it,
Touch
just
up.
to shoot the shit. We'll come up with the topic. We haven't done it yet, but we will one of these days. We'll just come up with the topic and just talk about it.
Yeah, totally.
With these episodes, so we'll see how everything pans out.
Yeah, we're just trying to get all the guests at this point. That's pretty much our focus for the next year, 2022, and then at some point we want to do some in between, quick interviews where we can get them up right away.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It's
That's
hard.
cool.
It's hard when you don't have the time to do this stuff.
Yep.
So. But,
yeah, 'cause he's got a wife and kids and shit like that.
If you can't hear my son over there crying because I don't know, he did something. I don't know.
I hear him every now and then. Chime in.
He does. Yeah, he's a typical boy, but he's fun.
Yeah.
And he loves his Uncle Scott. Huh?
Apparently.
Yeah. He wouldn't. He always wanted to go to Scott at Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah.
All right, so
gotta see him.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end it here, and thank you everybody for watching, and go follow MVP. And go get your battle jackets done by him, and we will see you in the next episode.
Make sure you click like and subscribe on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah, much appreciated.
I always forget to say that because whatever.
Yeah, that's my job.
That's just Scott's job. I give him something to do. All right, guys.
So, all right, Paul. We'll see you soon.
Have a good one.
You
Peace
too.
out.
Peace
Thanks
out,
for
buddy.
coming on.
Yeah, no worries.